California Governor Gavin Newsom is now calling his city's homeless encampments unacceptable, which is odd since he's the guy who, made them acceptable, turning sidewalks into red carpet events for drug addicts, thieves, and unemployed CNN anchors. On Monday, he urged cities to ban the camps from sidewalks, parks, and other public areas. So after years of denying the problem, he's now pretending to fix it, which is like putting on a condom as you're leaving a whorehouse.
Greg Gutfeld just bulldozed Gavin Newsom's image in a fiery takedown that left nothing but smoke, scorched ego, and a shattered political mask. This wasn't a roast. It was a live demolition. Gutfeld ripped into Newsom's smug persona, mocked his failures, and torched his talking points with surgical precision. No mercy, no filter, just straight-up destruction. Newsom's slick charm, vaporized. His policies ripped to shreds on national TV. It was brutal, it was relentless, and it hit like a political sledgehammer. Gutfeld didn't just clap back, he burned the whole narrative to the ground.
So Newsom is fed up with tent cities, the crime, the urban decay? No, he's not mad about that stuff. He's mad you noticed. It's like a criminal telling a jury he's sorry he robbed 25 banks when he's just sorry he got caught on the 26th. Because this isn't some spontaneous crisis. It's a man-made disaster like Chernobyl or Fox and Friends.
It started like any other Gutfeld night. Spotlights flaring, coffee mug in hand, that trademark smirk cocked like a loaded weapon. But this time, that wasn't just smirk-level sarcasm. This was war. And Gavin Newsom, the poster child of overstyled politics and underwhelming results, had no idea the wrecking ball was headed straight for him. The man whose hair could qualify for office before his policies? Yeah, him. The walking photo shoot who delivers press conferences like he's auditioning for a GQ spread. He took common sense and twisted it into a designer buzzword, packaged, polished, and completely detached from the disaster unfolding behind him. Gutfeld saw through it. And then he lit the whole illusion on fire. California is crumbling under Newsom's grip, and Gutfeld made the comparison crystal clear. Watching the Golden State implode is like watching someone's personal life fall apart in real time. Glossy on the outside, wrecked on the inside. And then came the strike. With the fury of a late-night host who'd had enough of elite delusion, Gutfeld tore Newsom's carefully crafted persona limb from limb. Not with jokes, but with barbed truths. Newsom wasn't just roasted, he was deconstructed. His reputation, his policies, even his smug optimism got dragged through the mud and left twitching on the studio floor. Gutfeld mocked the sanctuary state fantasy, ridiculed the gaslighting Green Crusade, and exposed the TED Talk nonsense for what it really was, a smokescreen. Newsom, once the media darling, suddenly looked like a hollow mascot for a party that had abandoned its spine. No soft landing, no polite jabs, just pure strategic evisceration. Gutfeld wasn't playing host. He was playing judge, jury, and political executioner. And as he ripped through every talking point, every illusion, one thing became clear. Gavin's 2028 dreams didn't just take a hit, they went up in flames, live on air. Greg Gutfeld didn't just criticize Gavin Newsom, he gutted him on live television and left his legacy bleeding out under studio lights. It started like any other Gutfeld show. Until it wasn't. One second he's holding a coffee mug, the next he's torching California's golden boy like he's holding receipts from hell. Forget political commentary. This was a televised assassination of everything Newsom pretends to be. Gutfeld didn't peel back the curtain, he yanked it off and threw it in the fire. And what was hiding behind that polished exterior? A political disaster dressed in designer smugness. While Newsom struts around preaching progress, his state is spiraling. The streets? A pharmacy for the forgotten, entire blocks swallowed by tents. Stores boarded up like it's the apocalypse. Gutfeld didn't need to exaggerate. California's collapse told the joke for him. And the punchline? Newsom still thinks he's presidential material. The man spent billions trying to fix the homelessness crisis, and somehow made it worse, like lighting money on fire just to watch it burn prettier. He blames mayors, he blames citizens, he blames the weather, but never himself. Gutfeld zeroed in and dropped the hammer. Newsom creates the fire, then shows up with a microphone pretending to be the firefighter. And while California chokes on its own dysfunction, Newsom plays moral cop for the rest of the country. lecturing Florida on freedom while his own state locks up parents for questioning school boards, scolding Texas over abortion while fentanyl flows through California's veins like tap water. It's not leadership, it's cosplay for cameras. Gutfeld didn't just expose the hypocrisy, he nuked the entire act. With sarcasm so sharp it could puncture bulletproof egos, he painted Newsom as a failed actor still clinging to a spotlight that's already moved on. And when he got to the COVID era, that's when the gloves came off. While Americans were locked indoors, Newsom was dining maskless at private parties with the elite, sipping wine and smirking while small businesses died by the thousands. Gutfeld laid it out like a prosecutor with nothing left to lose. Newsom wasn't leading during the pandemic, he was performing. And his performance, a masterclass in arrogance, denial, and political theater. In just one monologue, Gutfeld turned Gavin Newsom's White House dreams into a funeral procession. There were no survivors, no apologies, no comeback lines, just a smoking pile of broken narrative and a governor left staring into the wreckage of his own mythology. What unfolded on Gutfeld's stage wasn't a takedown, it was a televised demolition. Gavin Newsom wasn't just roasted, he was reduced to political ash, live and unfiltered. And the spark? A smug soundbite from the governor himself, begging the conservative Supreme Court to help him clean up the mess he made. Imagine the irony. Newsom, the progressive prince of chaos, crying to the very institution his party paints as the villain. That wasn't politics, that was desperation in hair gel. Gutfeld didn't flinch. He threw the first punch and never stopped swinging. "What did you expect, Gavin?" he asked with that surgical sneer. "That your sanctuary state would turn into a luxury RV park?" The audience didn't laugh at the joke. They laughed because they'd lived the punchline. Californians didn't get the utopia they were promised. They got a side of fentanyl with their morning coffee. And when Newsom tweeted his open invitation to every trans family in Texas, calling them heroes and promising California's warm embrace, Gutfeld painted the real picture. Middle-class families fleeing like refugees, businesses evaporating into red states, and Newsom smiling like a salesman closing a deal on a burning house. Hollywood elites popped champagne in private compounds, while the rest of the state drowned in red tape and rotting infrastructure. But this wasn't just sarcasm, it was a masterclass in exposure. Gutfeld didn't need a prop or a PowerPoint. He had something far more brutal: reality. He dragged out the receipts, played the hypocrisy on loop, and let the facts do the slashing. Because Newsom isn't a politician, he's a public relations campaign gone rogue. He doesn't solve problems, he narrates over them with dramatic music and fake compassion. And when the crowd started asking the real question, how is this guy the frontrunner? Gutfeld didn't miss a beat. He pointed to Kamala Harris sitting in the wings, waiting for her cue. The only thing standing between Gavin and the nomination is a vice president who can't even clear single digits in her own polls. But try replacing her with a rich white guy from California. That's not strategy. That's political suicide dressed as diversity. Then came the kill shot. Gutfeld's final frame. He painted Newsom's California not as a dream, but as a high-end horror movie set. From the outside, gleaming. Solar panels, gender-neutral slogans, virtue-signaling billboards, but step inside, and the foundation's crawling with rot. Mold, needles, boarded-up storefronts, and the sound of helicopters tracking stolen cars like a war zone. He called it what it is, a glossy dystopia where slogans hold up collapsing walls. He didn't shout, he didn't rage, he smiled, he sipped. He let the silence carry the punchlines. Because when you expose a fraud with calm clarity, the sting lasts longer. And then he pulled back the curtain even further. While Newsom wagged his finger at Florida for book bans, California's students were too busy trying to read through the sound of sirens. He condemned Texas for being anti-freedom, while his own lockdown policies crushed churches, corner stores, and hope itself. And during COVID, Newsom dined in Napa Valley's French Laundry while your grandma died alone. Gutfeld didn't just say it, he framed it. He showed Newsom not as a leader, but as a method actor lost in his own script. And when it came to the homelessness law he vetoed because it was already the law, the absurdity hit peak velocity. You don't kill a bill to protect the status quo unless you're running from your own failure. And Gavin? He's been sprinting since day one. Then came the scorched earth moment, when Gutfeld compared Newsom to a lab-coated madman in a failed experiment called California. Not a leader, not even a manager. A reckless ideologue playing God with people's lives, exporting failed policies with a smile that belongs on a toothpaste commercial. And it worked. Not because the jokes were brutal, but because the truth was. No spin, no gaslight. Just raw, uncomfortable recognition. He showed voters what Gavin really is. A grinning mannequin wrapped in recycled speeches, held together by borrowed applause. A man who preaches compassion while presiding over chaos. A governor who lost control of his state and now wants the keys to the country. By the end, Gutfeld didn't just win the argument, he burned the whole theater down. And Newsom, somewhere behind a podium or in a wine cave, he's probably still rehearsing that next speech. But it won't matter, because now the curtain's down, the lights are off, and America just saw the man behind the myth. And what they saw wasn't pretty.